George Flowers said, what started me off was he did say something about Robin that really aggravated me. And it's not just when he says something to you. He has this condescending look that he gives you.
Right.
Well, he's
welcome to my world, Artie.
Olympus.
I mean, I guess it's really like, I mean, he was really saying offensive things, I thought.
What was he saying that offended you?
Well, I mean, he was, you have to listen to it.
All right, here is George versus Penny, I guess. Right. The first clip I can play you is, and from what I'm hearing, the wrap-up show was wild, and George Flowers and Penny got into it. And as Gary said earlier, Penny is upset because, you know, she feels she's got 20 years on the job, and she thinks she's the only real reporter back in the Howard 100 newsroom. So here's what happened between the two of them.
Jason, hold on one second. George, you're high-fiving Artie.
Yeah.
And George Flowers, who's been conspicuously missing from the show.
Penny, right? Penny, you're knocking on 60.
54.
You're knocking on freaking Heaven's Gate.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
What are you...
Seriously.
You're around for a long time, and you on the show today said that I was not a newsman. How dare you? 40 years, 42 years.
Oh, this is going to be good. You want good radio?
Yeah.
What did you ever cover? Name one news story. Were you there in 9/11?
No.
Were you there in 93, the World Trade bombing?
I wasn't outside.
What the hell did you do?
I was inside of a news reporter.
Oh, you're a fucking newsman.
So what?
You fucking read. Every one of you anchors
so
read.
what?
You're full of shit, George.
Oh.
And I'm sick of it. I never even fucking every goddamn assignment I've been on, you haven't been there ever. And I did it 24/7.
I'm an inside newsman.
You're full of shit.
Oh, nonsense. 42 years. UPI,
you got one thing going for you. You got a good voice. And you don't come in here and tell your fellow news person that I'm knocking on Heaven Gate.
Yikes. I got to side with George on this. I mean, George Flowers has been around a newsroom for as long as 40 years. And, yeah, okay, he's not
Well, there is a difference between a reporter and an anchor. And Penny's just pointing that out. This is the stupidest argument I've ever heard.
It's not fair for her to say he's not a newsman. As a matter of fact, he's probably...
It's not even right to have this argument. Who cares?
He's just as essential to a newscast as she is. And the fact of the matter is that if you ever see these guys who have to read on the radio for 4 or 5 hours a day and edit their own material and have an understanding of what they're doing.
That's like saying Dan Rather isn't as important as the reporters he introduced.
Oh, I remember what George said, too, that got me aggravated. He said something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but like Robin isn't the best representative.
Yeah. No,
this is an old white guy. He goes, Robin's not the best representative sometimes of a black woman.
Well, who is? I mean, who is a black woman that represents all black women?
That made my blood curdle.
It was all very general statements. He never cited one specific. He was upset that Howard got so vocal about Mel Gibson and his comments. But when have we ever had anyone of the stature of Mel Gibson coming down on black people? We have Daniel Carver, who's a buffoon.
And we would do the
same distinction he doesn't get.
If Mel Gibson had said that about black people, I would have been all over it. Come on.
The point is, when Rush Limbaugh did his thing, we pointed it out. But he wants me to be screaming at Daniel Carver. Is he out of his mind?
All right. Then Ronnie, the limo driver, called in as someone else.
Frankie from Staten Island.
And fooled Penny yet again until Greg Fitzsimmons told Penny that it was Ronnie.
Hey, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yeah, this is Frank.
Hey, Frank, what do you think of all this?
What the hell's her problem, that woman? What the hell is wrong with her?
What do you mean?
She's an idiot. The woman's an idiot.
Is this Frank from Whitestone?
No, this is Frank from Staten Island.
Oh, okay.
What's my problem, Frank?
Since she came on Howard, she thinks, oh, she's the greatest thing that hit the fucking world. Who the fuck is she? She's nobody. She's a piece of shit.
Oh, wow.
Guess you're not going to give me a job anytime soon, Frank.
How dare you talk to that man like that? That man's been around for years.
You're right. He's been around about 300 years.
You're a nobody.
You are an asshole. What do you do? Tell me what great society, contributions you've made to society, you weirdo.
I drive a tractor trailer. What's your problem?
Hey, I'd like to ride with you.
There you go. Big deal. You got to get your name in the paper that you bought a $2 million apartment.
Why, that pisses you off?
Big shit.
Because I'm a good real estate investor?
Who gives a shit what you do?
Oh, kiss my ass, Frank. Can we hang up on him?
You're going to put your friggin' picture in the paper?
I didn't put it in the paper, you dickweed. Would you hang up on him? Why am I here?
All right, Frank, Penny's freaking out now. What can she do to make you tolerate her, let's say, on the air? Because she's really upset about this.
Tell her to stop stop acting like an asshole. Then she can stop tolerating.
Is this Ronnie the limo driver?
Who?
It is. It is Ronnie the...
No.
It is Ronnie.
Ronnie, that's not you, is it?
No, man, this is Frank.
Frank, can you get Ronnie's wife? Is she there with you?
You fucking idiot.
Oh, you called Artie a fucking idiot, Frank? That's not nice. Artie's a nice guy here.
Frank, come on.
What's going on? You're the idiot.
All right, well.
Yeah, no, I'll defend you. That's terrible, Frank.
Wow, what a wrap-up show.
It was great, too, because then right after the call, Ronnie was so awesome. He walked right by the studio, pretended not to see us, and we're like, see, that wasn't Ronnie. He just walked by.
It was perfect. Ronnie played that off well.
Here's George Flowers on racism. Is this where he gets into Robin not being a great representative?
We get into that later. This is just... He sort of admits at this point that the
reason he's not in the studio.
Yeah, why did you leave the show? And he's like, my uvula was having problems. And then he tells us what really happened.
All right, let's hear what's going on. Uvula. I thought that's what chicks have.
Yeah. First of all, it's a uvula, I thought.
His pussy
I've never heard uvula before.
I have pussy problems.
My pussy's infected, and I won't be in.
Isn't a uvula the thing that resides somewhere around the inside of the vagina near the diaphragm where you stick the diaphragm?
It's the medical term for the medical term for it is a cunt.
Oh, stop it!
My pussy is mad at me.
I have an ovary infection. I won't be in.
My vagina is inflamed.
My tits.
And there was somebody who made a comment earlier today regarding racism or whatever. Is that the reason I'm not in? Believe me, that is one reason why I'm not overly thrilled at all times to be in there.
Right, because some of the stuff that goes on there is you don't appreciate.
No, yeah, exactly. Right. It's anti-my wife. It's anti-my life.
Does she listen to the show?
Absolutely not. I would never allow her to hear that.
He would never allow her.
He doesn't allow his wife to listen.
Yeah, it's the Taliban.
Well, he does have a very paternal attitude.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about my 8-year-old.
I don't think, again, not to get into a serious discussion ever on one of these channels, but you realize we don't consider ourselves racist. You realize that. So you think we're racist because of the joke?
The things that happen on the show, there's definitely racism that laces throughout the show.
Right, but we don't condone it. We're just sort of, it's part of life and it's part of,
it's part, frankly, so's murder. We don't kill people on the radio.
No, but hold on. I will go to one area to defend that. Yes. When you put Daniel Carver on the show, and you just sort of stand back and let Daniel Carver speak, to me, you're just showing how ridiculous he is. I think that's sort of the point of. I mean, Daniel Carver sort of, puts his own rope around his neck and makes an idiot of himself.
I make a lot of racial-oriented jokes on the show in my stand-up, a lot of stuff. But do you think for some reason that means I don't like your wife? And so you just said I'm anti your wife. That's offensive to me.
The comments, the comments are, well, you've said something offensive to her anyway.
When?
July, February, whatever the hell that was.
What did I say?
That I was just chasing a piece of black tail. Remember that line? For which you apologized.
Yeah, but I only apologized because you asked me to. And
no, I didn't ask you to. I said, are you aware of this fact? This was very offensive. And you said, I'm sorry, I really apologize. And you apologized
George, I've never met your wife. I would never say that in the context of like meeting her out at a party with her. We're on a Howard Stern show being funny. That happens all the time. I really don't think that's offensive towards your wife. But as a coworker, if you wanted me to apologize, I did to show you respect.
I want to make 2 points to you. And this regards racism and also anti-Semitism.
Okay.
These two isms kill people. People die. They also hurt people physically, economically, socially, in a million different years. We all know this, right? Howard rails out, and he should have, against Mel Gibson. What Gibson said was absolutely wrong. Sure. No question. I didn't hear how he reacted to Marge Schott, for example. Was he as vociferous and negative against
but in a humorous way. Like, there was a guy, Billy West, on the show who would play Marge Schott. And you might have an issue with it, but it was hilarious because he's pointing out how ridiculous she is. We did Mel Gibson bits to point out how ridiculous he was. It's comedy.
We had a character on the show who was Marge Schott, who was Billy West doing the voice of Marge Schott, who would make the most ridiculous, insane racist comments, and we were totally mocking Marge Schott and what she was all about. Now, you may have heard that out of context and thought to yourself, there's a woman on the air screaming racist comments, but you have to understand the show and take it in the full context that we were completely mocking and not condoning Mort Schott.
George, if I was out to dinner with you or something, and your wife, I'm sure, is a wonderful person, I would never in a million years make a black tail comment like that. We're on the Howard Stern show fucking around. We're being funny. It's comedy, and I really don't think it's offensive.
But, guys, I think this is what George is saying. He understands all that, but he doesn't agree. Well, no, I don't think he agrees with exposing it for what it is harmless. I think I don't want to speak for you, George.
There's also a promoting, whether you think it's a joke or not.
Right.
There's some people who are going to resonate with that line. When you did the roast of Daniel Carver, that was a major, major, major problem, as far as I was concerned.
Okay.
Because now you got some racist asshole listening in anywhere in this country who says, I really believe that what Daniel Carver is saying is right.
But George,
and now there are 10 people who are ripping this guy to shreds, right? And I'm saying, they can't say that to him. And getting upset over the fact that this guy is being torn. He was being, quote, honored as a KKK.
Yeah, but George,
honored. When that happened...
George really doesn't get the show.
Oh, my God. It was like he was listening to a different program all this time, and I don't understand how he works here.
Happens. Let me finish the point, all right? Now you get some guy who sees some black guy walking along an Alabama street and says, I'm going to run that, use the N-word guy into that ditch.
That is a major quantum, quantum leap.
But you can't necessarily say that it can't be the case.
It can't be the case. You can't tell me that a guy heard Daniel Carver decided to attack a guy in Alabama. That is a quantum leap.
Listen,
but you don't know it. You don't know that.
You don't either.
In other words, there's some people
I have to be safe.
There's some people who like All in the Family, okay?
Sure.
Because they agree with Archie.
Right.
The retards, the stupid people.
Right.
Okay, there's some people who get why All in the Family is really funny. Do you understand that part of it?
Of course.
Do you understand that that's the same kind of thing we're trying to do here? Should All in the Family not have been on the air because there's retards who agree with Archie Bunker and might become more racist or racist because of him? We should cater to stupid people? Why should we cater to stupid people? That's retarded. That guy who ran that guy who runs a guy over, runs a black guy over, was going to do that whether he heard this fucking show or not. He's a moron. He's a retard. Exposing those people, I think, is a good thing. Were you a fan of All in the Family? Let me ask you that.
I did certainly watch it on occasion. Was it offensive on occasion? Sure, it was offensive.
That's an excellent analogy, though. That's exactly what it is.
I grew up with kids who loved Archie Bunker because they agreed with him.
Right.
And I used to laugh at him. I go, guys, you don't get why the show's funny. So All in the Family, one of the most brilliant sitcoms ever, you think it should not have been around because it might make assholes do racist shit.
Who was the balance? Who was the counterbalance on Archie Bunker?
Rob Reiner. Right, okay. And Edith as well. Everybody else.
But Reiner, right? You had the counterbalance. You had the two sides. You don't always get the two sides on the air here.
Of course you do.
No, you don't.
Howard is
I listen to. No, you don't. Not always.
You have a black woman in the studio.
Robin Quivers. What about Robin? What are you saying about her?
I think I could see your face, and I've seen this a million times. I don't believe that George believes that Robin is a good representation of the black race. Am I off base on saying that? Am I speaking out of line for you?
It's difficult to say what her motivations are.
George,
difficult to say.
I can't agree with you last night. I couldn't disagree.
Let me just give you my take on it is this. When you have censorship, which is what you're advocating, what you do is you endorse... Let me finish, George, because hold on, guys. It's a form of censorship, and what you do is, like with the priests molesting kids all those years, when you protect something and you don't allow dialogue and you don't allow the rocks to be turned over, this shit nurtures itself and it grows. And what the show like this does is it puts the light on everything. It lets everybody look at it, and you take away from it what you will. But at least it's not being protected.
And, George, when you say balance, to me, all balance is, your version of balance is censorship.
No,
if you want a lot of balance, you want to censor what we're saying.
All right, George, quick, say what you mean.
Okay. Balance means, if we're talking about Archie Bunker, right? Archie says something, then Meathead says something to counteract it. We hear both sides immediately, one against the other. The audience makes its determination. We don't always hear that on the Stern Show by any means.
George, I disagree so much. First of all, Greg's point is excellent. Robin is, like this show, when dumb people say why they hate the show, I just want to strangle them. They just don't get it. Like, Robin is not a good example for black people. She's a good example for people.
That's right.
She's a good example of, she should be looked up to by she's an intelligent, brilliant, successful, wonderful person who's made a lot out of her life. Everybody should look up to her, white or black. And the fact that she's on this show and one of the most successful black people in the history of broadcasting just goes to show why, the show is...
Let me attributes.
That's right.
Exactly.
I've spoken to Robin about this all the time. To ask Robin to act a particular way because she's black is more racist than calling her the N-word.
That's correct.
You don't think, you don't think when Daniel Carver's on the show, you don't think the fact that we put Daniel Carver on the phone with retards, you don't think that we're making fun of him being an idiot? We have 4 retards and a Klansman in a conference call. You don't think that's us giving the counter view of how dumb a Klansman might be?
Yeah, I do.
Well, that's doing it in a humorous way.
One last question, then we got to take a break. A lot of people have said that the reason Robin is on the show, forget her ability, I think she's wonderful. The reason she's there is because it allows Howard to do certain things. It allows certain conversations to be had because there's a black woman sitting in the studio. Do you subscribe to that theory?
I subscribe if she gives a counterbalance to it.
Why her? Why is it? Benji should be giving a counterbalance, or Artie. Why does Robin have to give the counterbalance? Because she's black?
Well, yes, she can speak authoritatively from that point of view.
But why?
It's like
Robert Kennedy did more for black people in this country, arguably, than Martin Luther King did.
You could argue, George, that you're representing a black point of view, and you're not black. I mean, your wife's black, but you're not black.
Well, some people make the point that the mere fact of Robin being there is a counterpoint. Right. That's what some people argue, and that might be true in a sense. But look, I mean, Howard, everybody knows this and knows Howard's story. Robin walked in one day in Washington, and they liked each other on the air. And that's why they started working. Howard didn't have some master plan, like I'll hire a black woman and get away with racist comedy. You can't accuse him of that.
Right. I'm not accusing him.
I mean, George, I respect you. You're a good guy. You're a smart guy. I just really think you're not getting, and part of this is why you're so great on the show, too, but you're really not getting the joke of the show.
Well, I took something out of this conversation. I believe Robin should resign, and our new newswoman...
I did already. You just ignored it.
Our new newswoman should be Rob Reiner. From All in the Family. Yeah. All right. Well, so it sounds like a lot of fire. I love that stuff. I can listen to that all day. That's a great conversation.
There was one, like, we're always trying to give the behind-the-scenes stories, and I couldn't get to this because we just kept going on and on. But, Robin, can you remind me, didn't Spike Lee once call you off the air and yell at you for not...
defending him when Howard said his movie sucked.
But why did you have to defend him? Why did he say you had to defend him?
Well, I'm black.
Exactly. Like, that pisses me off.
It didn't matter what I thought of his movie.
Right.
Yeah, and Robin,
the thing I said to Spike Lee was I never heard from you when I was promoting you on this show. I only heard from you when he attacked you.
Yeah, the funny thing is that, Robin was actually praising his movies.
And for years. Yeah. For years. And you had no idea who he was even.
But I thought the idea that Spike Lee called Robin to tell us she had to act a certain way because she was black, and that Robin told him really, fuck you. Right. Which I thought was brilliant.
I told him very loudly.
Yeah, she yelled at him. He hung up.
I think everybody in the station heard.
So a lot of fireworks on the wrap-up show, which is great. And that's just one of those shows that's really taking off here at Howard 100 and Howard 101.
Really? I mean, how does George stay here?
Yeah, it was...
He has a lot of issues.
Yeah, well, George has a lot of issues with everything, but... I
guess he couldn't stay anywhere is what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, where could he work? Where there isn't racism
everywhere
in his mind.
Whenever people say that to me, I'm like, well, I should just evaporate then if I'm going to get away from all racism.
I wouldn't really react too much to it.
I didn't react at all. People started telling me. I didn't even hear this. But it was just like, oh, my God, George Flowers.
I'm scared to meet his wife because I think she'll just sucker punch me in the face.
No, he wouldn't allow that.
I just think if the wrap-up show is smart, they'll get George back on today.
Oh, absolutely.
That was great.
Well, you didn't hear, I mean, I don't know that he made it clear, because I had the feeling that he wasn't coming in here for a reason. It wasn't his uvula.
Oh, definitely.
You didn't hear that part.
Well, look, I didn't hear the uvula part, which I would have liked to have heard.
Uvula.
But
my uvula was inflamed.
No. I just love it all. Everyone's just gone crazy.